Hi guys, just finished working out here, and I thought I would talk about something that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, and that is loneliness when you move out to Asia. It's not all sunshine and rainbows out here all the time. I think a lot of people don't realize that if you were kind of lonely or depressed or didn't have a lot of friends back in the West, well, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come out here and just be, you know, um, integrated into a group of expats immediately. In fact, sometimes they're very cliquish, I've noticed, in the Philippines and also here even in Thailand. But I'm going to talk about that in today's video. We're going to go ahead and take a walk, and I need to head to the coffee shop, guys. It is 7:20 in the morning. I finish working out early. I get up really early now ever since came back from the US, and need my coffee now. Anyway, stick around for today's video.
Sick of dreaming, want something more. Pack your bags, don't hesitate. Gio, let's go before it's too late. Time keeps slipping away from us. Keep living like this. Away from
Hey guys, I'm gonna relay a little story that happened one time. I had a viewer reach out to me, did a consultation, and he wanted to know, he's like, hey, how do I meet other expats? And, what's the best place where I can meet expats and maybe hang out and do activities together and all this. Anyway, we had a consultation. I told him various different ways, which I'll discuss later in the video. But he made it to the Philippines, and then he messages me from his hotel. He'd been there a day, and he goes, I'm not meeting anybody. What am I doing wrong? What do I do next? Where do I go? And I'm like, dude, you got to get out. You're not going to meet anybody sitting in the hotel room. And it's also, for a lot of people, you're not just going to sit in a coffee shop and interrupt the table full of expats sitting with each other, maybe that they've known for years, and just intercede and force yourself into the conversation. I mean, it can happen. I've seen it happen plenty of times, but some people just aren't extroverted enough to do that. A lot of people are introverted. And you get out here to Asia, I find so many people who literally sit in their apartments and condos, play video games, watch Netflix, and if they're not out on a date, or if they don't have a girlfriend, then that's their world. It's just sitting in their apartment. And I, for one, didn't come all the way out to Southeast Asia just to sit in my apartment or my condo. But anyway, I'm going to get up to this coffee shop here and sit down, order my coffee. I don't want the street noise to be too much of a factor. I think the microphone's pretty darn good, but so I'll shut off for now. I'll be right back after I grab my coffee. All right, so I'm at the coffee shop here. Real quick, funny thing is I've since learned how to say the coffee that I want, how to say hot, large size for here, just to kind of help me out so there's no confusion that I don't get it in a to-go cup, or I don't get a cold ice, an iced coffee, or the small size when I wanted the big. So I learned these words, but now I say them so well that it's funny, they will think I speak Thai now. So they'll just rattle off in Thai, and I'm like, huh? So I've only learned those words really, but every week I try to learn more and just kind of add it in. You got to use it, and I feel like if I learn something, it's got to be something that I'm going to use on a daily basis, and I just kind of keep adding into my vocabulary. Anyway, back to the story. So this guy ended up spending a whole month in the Philippines, and he had a miserable time. And the guy was just kind of a depressive introvert. And I don't want to be mean. Some people are like that. That's okay. I'm actually, believe it or not, a lot of people think I'm an extrovert. I'm doing YouTube. but I'm not. I'm actually, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I'm not really an extrovert. I'm kind of like in the middle there. I've had to force myself out of my comfort zone. For me, it was not so hard because when I arrived in the Philippines, I was working. So I hung out. I didn't really have any expat friends per se. I have a couple that I had met, like at my condo or expat groups and things like that, but nobody that was really a friend. More like acquaintances in the building or something like that. But I had Filipino friends because I worked about 2.5 years in Cebu before I left my job and moved to Vietnam. And I would go out with them a lot. And they always wanted to do karaoke and drink Red Horse and, go out to eat. And yeah, I had a good time. I think they did a very good job of trying to make me feel welcome. But I also got taken advantage quite a bit, when we would all go out for meals or karaoke. Somehow that bill would always make its way around to Gio. And even on the times when they would contribute, like if we would all go out for a meal, there'd be like literally 20 of us, like teachers and things like that. And, everybody would contribute and the bill would get around to me and I'd be like, okay, I had chicken nuggets and 3,000 pesos for some chicken nuggets. I think this bill needs to take another lap around the table or two because there's no way I paid 3,000 pesos for some chicken nuggets. So I would always get the short end of the stick. I got the coffee. Life is good again. This is my favorite place now for the cappuccino. And I love the view, the whole world passing by, but I'm inside in the aircon. I don't have to sit outside and be in the heat, which I love. So anyway, eventually I ended up kind of moving away from it, not going out as much, and I started to make expat friends. But, a lot of people don't realize, when you move overseas, well, you lose a lot of your old friends. They just kind of fade away. You start to keep less and less in touch. You're not going out for family dinners anymore. You don't have your coworkers because most of us have stopped working. And there's no more holidays with relatives. So, yeah, you see a lot of guys. I mean, me, I'm always by myself. I go to the gym by myself. I go grab my coffee. I go film. I'll go eat lunch by myself. And I'm actually okay with that. Some people aren't. Some people are kind of social animals and they need to be with people all the time. Me, I don't really need that. I can travel alone and be perfectly content because I always seem to make friends along the way. Now, I do have an advantage because I run a YouTube channel. So it seems to be, no matter where I go, somebody's reaching out and say, hey, Gio. In fact, I'm going to Taiwan in September, and I've already got people reaching out, hey, Gio, I'm in Taiwan. I'm happy to meet up and show you around, so a little bit of an advantage, but I didn't always have that. But yeah, you arrive to the new country and everything's exciting still. Everything's new, everything feels like an adventure, but that's kind of, after that, the normal life starts to kick in, and that's where you got to reach out and, a lot of people join expat groups on like Facebook, and they are not the most friendly place in the world. In fact, the people are very cliquish, especially the ones who had been there a long time. You ask a question and they just attack you like you're stupid, even though you're brand new off the plane and have no idea how things work. But you ask a question and they'll say, well, it's been asked 1,000 times, or they'll just be sarcastic and you don't even get a reply. You'll get a few nice people perhaps, but for the most part, I have found most of those expat groups to be pretty useless, unfortunately. They're good to kind of read through and maybe find information, but posting questions sometimes, they're not the friendliest, especially in the Philippines. Well, I would say even in Thailand here, you get kind of attacked. And another thing is friendships become pretty temporary out here in Southeast Asia because people are either constantly moving. I'll have a friend who's decided to go back to the US, go back to Australia, or or they've moved to a different island in the Philippines, or they've met a new girl and she wants to go back to the province, or they've decided to get married and go back to the States. And it's happened to me so many times. I've had so many good friends throughout the years. Really, in fact, if anybody's watched my videos for a long time, you'll have noticed that I've had really good friends that have been with me during videos and hanging out, and then they're gone. Dumaguete, Davao, Cebu, just wherever I've gone, I've made good friends, and there's very, very few that I actually keep in touch with and still go back and visit sometimes. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I think people will make is that a relationship is going to solve your loneliness. And yeah, it can at first, but in my opinion, I think it's a mistake. You have got to have friends outside of the relationship. You got to have time apart that you spend with friends. It becomes unhealthy, at least in my opinion, at some point, if you just hang out with each other all day, 24/7. And some Filipinos can do that. In fact, they almost want to, I don't want to stereotype and say all of them, because that's not the case, but some will actually try to isolate you from your friends. Maybe they think they're womanizers or a bad influence, so they try to isolate you. But it is not a good idea. You've got to have friendships outside of the relationship. But I think I'm telling people stuff that they already know. But, a healthy relationship definitely can help with the loneliness. Absolutely. You got somebody to travel with, somebody to go have dinner with, somebody to wake up to in the morning. That's certainly going to help. Some people need a relationship. I get to points in my life where I feel lonely, and then I date or something, and then I'm okay being alone again. But you have to have your friends. You've got to have activities. You got to have purpose, and you got to have independence sometimes. I need all three. I need time with a girlfriend. I need solo time. I like to go to the gym by myself. I like to go grab a coffee by myself. I like to go grab lunch by myself. I actually kind of enjoy it because I do things like on my phone, or I'll listen to music. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I may look lonely. Somebody might observe me sitting there eating lunch by myself, listening to my headset, but I'm not lonely. And I think some people may think that. You look at somebody sitting by themselves, you almost feel pity. You're like, oh, what a poor person eating lunch by themselves. Oh, they're just sitting by themselves drinking coffee. But in my opinion, that is not the case. Now, for me, how I dealt with it, one, creating content has given me purpose and something to do. And it isn't necessarily that I need the money. The extra money certainly is great. Don't get me wrong. But it gives me something to do. It kind of gives me purpose. And I really actually enjoy meeting all the people I've met throughout the years. And I really like editing now. I find it very enjoyable. And I like showing people different things and talking about different topics and things that can help people when they move out here. I love walking a lot. A lot of people don't. But me, 10,000 steps per day is enjoyable. It's not like a task. I love exploring new places, taking off. And part of the fun for me is actually going somewhere and actually the challenge of meeting somebody. And when you're not traveling solo, you tend not to meet people because you have each other, so you're not really going to meet anybody per se. But meeting somebody naturally, not online or anything, but just bumping into somebody or in a tour group or something like that, enjoyable. I like staying connected to family. Like I said, I go twice per year now. It's expensive, but it's well worth it for me. And it's important at this stage in my life, absolutely. Having video calls with them almost on every other day. I do video calls with my sons and my mom and one sister. But you also got to have some projects and you got to have some goals. Like, for example, I had my open water certification for scuba diving. I got my advanced. Now I want to go even further, and I plan on doing that here in Thailand. And so that's kind of like a goal for me. I've got goals of different places I want to go to. But I think a lot of retirees, they struggle because they retire from work, but they don't really retire into something meaningful. Like they retire from work and then that's it. They have no purpose anymore. It's like they don't have any kind of goals. Everything kind of falls off the deep end there. And I think it's really important to maintain and still have purpose. But again, living overseas for me, best decision I've ever made. But it's important to be honest about the positives and the negatives, which I try to be. The beaches are real. The lower cost of living, that's real. The freedom is real. But also the loneliness can be very real as well. And I think the key isn't always finding the perfect country. I think the key is building life that has community, friends, relationships, and meaningful connections. So if you're planning on moving overseas, don't just plan your budget. That's a mistake. Plan what your goals are going to be, what your purpose is, and plan your social life too, because sometimes that ends up being much more important than your budget. So, quick question for viewers before I end this here. Have you ever felt lonely living abroad or in your hometown? Let me know down in the comments, and I appreciate it. Guys, don't forget to check out my website, GIOOnthego.net. Click on Gio's Travel Essentials for all the things I personally use and recommend for living or traveling overseas. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.
Gio, let's go before it's too late. Time keeps slipping away from us. Keep living like this. Away from us, away from us. Gio, let's go, to the places we both know.